Hey guys, since you weren't in class today, I wanted to give you a peek at the presentation that we went over for some grammar work. We focused on what the subject of a sentence is. When we did our grammar stations last class, one of the stations was subject-verb agreement. And when I was at that station, I realized a lot of kids didn't know what a subject was, and that made it pretty hard for them to figure out whether or not it agreed with the verb. So I needed to back it up a little bit and talk to you guys about what a subject of a sentence is. And I used Calvin and Hobbes to help me with this to try to keep it a little bit fun because grammar is not the most fun thing in the world to talk about. So, what's a subject of a sentence? Well, actually, we need to stop and take a step back and find out what's the verb. Before you try to figure out what any other part of a sentence is, you always need to find the verb first because oftentimes everything else can be defined in relationship to the verb. So in class today, I made the kids repeat this phrase over and over again. Always, always, always find the verb first. And I danced around the room and I made them repeat it and I made them chant with me. So right now at home, say it with me. Always, always, always. You didn't say it, did you? Find the verb first. Okay, so we need to find the verb. Let's take a look at this Calvin and Hobbes cartoon. Hopefully you find it a little bit funny. So Calvin is telling Hobbes, everybody I know needs what I'm selling, which is a swift kick in the butt for only $1. So we need to first start by finding the verb in the sentence that Calvin is saying. Take a look. Do you know what a verb is? Hopefully, but if not, one quick way, easy way to think about it is a verb is an action. It is something that you can do. Well, in this sentence, there's two verbs actually, needs and selling. We need to ask ourselves, what's the main verb of the sentence? Usually, it's the one that comes first. Not always, but usually. In this case, that works. The main verb in the sentence is needs. So everybody I know needs what I'm selling. Now, the important thing for you to realize is that, like the title of this slide says, the subject is what does the verb. So let's look back at Calvin. The sentence, everybody I know needs what I'm selling, the verb is needs. So in order to figure out what is the subject of the sentence, we ask ourselves who or what is doing the verb. Who or what needs. In this case, everybody I know needs what I'm selling. So everybody I know is the subject of the sentence. The verb is needs, and everybody I know needs. So everybody I know is the subject of the sentence. Let's look at another one. Always, always, always. Find the verb first. So we've got a cartoon here where Calvin has set up a catastrophic car accident with 4 snowmen, one of whom has his largest snowball on the hood of the car and his head has fallen off, and the other 3 snowmen are looking on in horror. And the father says to Calvin's mom, I think we better get that kid to a psychologist. What's the main verb of this sentence? Got it? If you said think, you're right. Think is the verb, the main verb in this sentence. Now, we have to ask ourselves this question. Who or what is doing the verb? Who or what thinks? And in this case, it's I. The dad is saying it, but he says, I think we better get that kid to a psychologist. So think is the verb and I is the subject of the sentence. I hope that clarifies for you what a subject of a sentence is. In the beginning of class today, when I asked kids what they already thought they knew about the subject of a sentence, a lot of kids said they thought that the subject was what the sentence was about. And maybe that's what you were taught when you were younger, and it's kind of a simplified definition for subject, but it's not a complete definition. Because if you look at this sentence here, you'll see that, well, this sentence, somebody could argue the sentence is about concerned parents. Somebody could argue this sentence is about a kid with a very warped sense of humor. So sentences are about ideas, concepts. The sentence is not about I, but I is what is doing the verb in this case. And so the more precise way to think of a subject of a sentence is who or what is doing the verb. Now, last slide. In our grammar stations, we talked about subject-verb agreement, meaning if you have a plural subject, you better have a plural verb, and if a singular subject, you better have a single verb. So let's look and make sure these sentences work. Everybody I know needs what I'm selling. Well, everybody I know, is that a singular or plural subject? Be careful. Remember what we learned about everybody, anyone, everyone, no one. These sound like lots of people, but they're actually one group. Everybody I know is one group that includes lots of people and includes everyone I know. But when I talk about everyone I know, I'm talking about a collective, a group. So in this case, it's singular. Everybody I know is actually singular. Let's look at the verb needs. That verb can have two different forms, either I need, or he needs, or they need. So it's either needs or need. Okay? So in this case, we're asking ourselves, is it singular or plural? Do they go together? Everybody I know needs. Well, would you say everybody I know need what I'm selling? Hopefully that feels wrong to you. It just doesn't feel right. Let's replace it with the name of somebody, everybody I know. Let's replace it with a singular person. Let's say Shubham. Shubham needs what I'm selling. That works, right? We wouldn't say Shubham need what I'm selling. So in this case, we've got singular, and it works. Let's look at the next one. I think we'd better get that kid to a psychologist. Well, we wouldn't say I thinks we better get that kid to a psychologist. If the subject was he, that would work. He thinks we'd better get that kid to a psychologist, but not with I. It has to be I think we'd better get that kid to a psychologist. So when we're talking about subject-verb agreement, first you need to know the verb. Always, always, always find the verb first. Then you got to find the subject, who or what is doing the verb. And finally, you got to ask yourself, do they match? Do they go together? Does it make sense? Have I used a singular subject and a singular form of the verb? Or a plural subject and a plural form of the verb? Okay, if you need to watch this one more time, go for it. If you have any questions, shoot me an email. I hope this clears it up for you.